What's up, my fellow versus your boy? I'm like, so can take a motherfucker loss. Today, we're gonna react to the fighting business as always. We're gonna react to UFC 20 Ankalaev versus Pereira 2 deeper dive. Let's keep it a beam, bro. Pereira, listen, I'm gonna keep it a whole beam. I honestly don't know who's gonna win. It could be Ankalaev, it could be Pereira, it could, you know what I mean? Let's just get right to this video.
So technical. The consequences of exchanging with Pereira are so high, but Ankalaev just did a fantastic job of shutting down the scariest guy in the division.
He was more aggressive, and that's why Magomed Ankalaev is now the light heavyweight champion of the world.
No! 6 months. That's how long Alex Pereira has been carrying the weight of what happened at UFC 313. 6 months since Magomed Ankalaev didn't just beat him, he dismantled him, stripped away the mystique, turned the most dangerous man in the division into someone who looked ordinary. But here's what makes UFC 320 different from every other comeback story in combat sport. This isn't just about revenge. This is about a man who built his entire legacy on being unstoppable,
Facts.
finding out he wasn't, and spending every waking moment since figuring out how to fix that. A win for Pereira means redemption, proof that his power can solve the one puzzle that's shut him down so far. A win for Ankalaev means control, the chance to silence anyone who still doubts whether he's the rightful king of light heavyweight. But that's not all UFC 320 gives us. At bantamweight, Merab Dvalishvili's relentless pressure meets Corey Sandhagen's movement and creativity. One man looks to drown you with pace, the other slices you apart with technique. And when those styles collide, someone breaks. And then there's Yuri Prochazka versus Khalil Rountree, a fight that feels like pure chaos waiting
that fight about to be fucking like crazy, bro.
To happen. Yuri's wild, unpredictable energy against Khalil's violent Muay Thai power. It's not about rankings or belts. It's about what happens when two fighters refuse to play safe. 3 fights, 3 stories, all building to the rematch that could define the next era at light heavyweight.
Facts.
Fighting business is one of my favorite new channels
Going right now.
Fighting business, absolutely amazing.
Yuri Prochazka versus Khalil Rountree Jr. Let's start with the fight that could overshadow everything else on this card.
Yuri Prochazka versus Khalil Rountree. I don't need to say anything else. For those of you that know, you know.
On paper, this looks simple. A former champion against a dangerous contender. But nothing about Yuri's career has been simple. This is the man who once held UFC gold, only to vacate it with injury, and watch Alex Pereira turn the division into a personal highlight reel. Since then, Prochazka has been stuck in limbo, too good to fade into the background, but scarred by brutal losses that left real questions about where
The only thing Yuri gotta do is just fucking block. That's it, bro. Let's put his hands up.
he stands. He bounced back at UFC 311, stopping Jamal Hill in the 3rd round with that vintage Prochazka chaos, wide stance, unpredictable entry, the kind of striking that feels improvised in the moment. It was a reminder of what makes him unique, but let's be real. The ghost of Pereira still hang over him. Those elbows at UFC 295, that head kick at UFC 303, you can't just shake those off. And the big question is whether Yuri's no-mind philosophy is still intact, or if those memories start creeping in when the chaos hits. Enter Khalil Rountree Jr., and he doesn't care about Prochazka's inner battles. Rountree isn't here to play therapist. He's here to throw leather.
Man, I'm excited about this fight. Yeah. I really am. Former champion, very skilled, very dangerous.
This is a guy tied with Chuck Liddell for most knockdowns in light heavyweight history, 14. He's riding momentum after a decision win over Jamal Hill in June, and his Muay Thai is straight up terrifying. Just ask Gogan Saki, Carl Robertson, Chris Dawkins, or Anthony Smith. Those knockouts weren't lucky. They were Rountree at his most ruthless. And that's what makes this matchup dangerous. They're nightmares for each other. Yuri thrives in chaos, throwing strikes from angles nobody sees coming. But against someone like Rountree, that chaos can turn into openings for a bomb. And Rountree, he doesn't try to solve puzzles. He smashes them.
We're not going to see Khalil Rountree being able to take his time and pick his shots because Yuri goes forward. And this will be a sensational fight. This is going to be one of those fights where Khalil's going to have to bite down on his mouthpiece. He's going to have to stand his ground, go toe to toe, okay? Or Strickland would say dick for dick.
Honestly, that's why this fight might be over in 5 minutes, or could turn
What's up with everybody with this Diddy shit going on, yo?
into one of the ugliest wars of the year. Both men bring baggage into this. Yuri's rebuilding himself after 2 devastating losses to Pereira. Rountree had his suspension setback at UFC 303 before giving us a Fight of the Year candidate at UFC 307. Both have seen the highs. Both have felt the lows. And now one of them gets a chance to turn that chaos into momentum. If Prochazka shows up as the wild man who submitted Glover Teixeira and slept Dominic Reyes, then Roundtree could be in deep trouble. But if the hesitant Yuri shows up, the one who froze against Pereira, Roundtree absolutely has the tools to add another body to his knockout reel. And honestly, I don't see this one going quiet. But while Prochazka and Roundtree are trying to knock each other into another dimension, the co-main event presents a completely different puzzle, one that requires patience, precision, and the kind of cardio that's honestly inexplicable.
Yeah.
Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen.
See, this fight right here about to be fucking amazing. Only reason why I say amazing is because Corey Sandhagen angles, he could throw a knee, an elbow. Like, he just a fucking, I like to call him a string. You feel me what I'm saying? Or a snake, you feel what I'm saying? Because he's so quick and he, like, his attacks is just so, like, you feel me, precise. But Merab, I don't need to say too much.
Yeah. Merab Dvalishvili has turned the bantamweight division into his personal torture chamber. 13 straight wins, most takedowns in UFC history. He stacked names like O'Malley, Cejudo, Yan, and Aldo on his resume. And he didn't just beat them, he broke them. His second defense against O'Malley at UFC
Don't forget Umar.
316 was the exclamation point, a north-south choke that shut down all the lucky win talk.
I mean, his wrestling is so elite, and then with that cardio, and now the improvements in the striking, and then the submissions. It's like, who's gonna beat this guy?
Every scramble, every clinch, every shot is like he's pulling you a little further under. By round 4, you're not fighting Merab anymore. You're fighting your own lungs. But across from him on October 4th is the man who's been almost champion for years, Corey Sandhagen. Got caught early and dry against Sterling. Most fans thought he beat Dillashaw. He pushed Yan to the brink in an interim title fight and came up just short. It's like the belt has been dangling in front of him, just out of reach. Something changed after that Yan fight, though. Sandhagen started fighting with more discipline. He outclassed Vera. He picked apart Song Yadong, even tore his tricep against Rob Font and still pitched a shutout. And most recently, he stopped Figueiredo, the former two-time flyweight champion, and showed that he's not just slick. He's mean when it counts.
I've dreamed of being a world champion for more than half of my life now. UFC, please give me an opportunity to show how great I am to the whole world.
Honestly, when Corey's locked in, he looks like a guy who should have already had a belt wrapped around his waist. The clash of styles here couldn't be more obvious. Merab fights like a hurricane made of wrestling shoes. Endless takedowns, endless scrambles, endless pressure, while Corey fights like a surgeon, sharp, efficient, creative. His flying knee against Frankie Edgar still gives me chill, and I've seen it 100 times. But
that's what I'm saying,
surgeons
bro.
need time and space to work.
Corey could throw that shit while Merab trying to go for a takedown. Oh my gosh.
And Merab doesn't give you either.
We know the style makes fight, and it's gonna be a hard style for me.
I just have to out MMA him everywhere and not be scared to wrestle with him or get tired. So I kind of plan on just, like masterclassing Merab.
That's the puzzle. Can Corey create the room to set traps, sting Merab on the entries, maybe even land something fight-ending? Or does Merab just do what he always does, close the gap, drag you down, and make you question why you ever signed the contract in the first place? I'll be honest, I thought Corey got robbed against Dillashaw, and I've always felt like on the right night, he could outclass anyone at 135. But Merab is not anyone.
Yeah, it's different.
Hey, listen, Merab, he'll shoot 50 takedowns to get 3. He doesn't give a shit. And Anthony, you know that. And look, Aldo's a great wrestler. Weidman's a great wrestler. They're not willing to expend the energy this guy is.
October 4th is either the night Sandhagen finally gets his validation, or it's another chapter in Merab's reign of suffocation. All of it leads to the fight that defines this card. The scariest fighter the UFC has ever seen now faces his own boogeyman. Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev 2. To understand this rematch, we have to go back to UFC 313. For 5 rounds, Magomed Ankalaev did the unthinkable. But here's the thing. Dominant wins create hungry ghosts, and Pereira has spent the last 6 months chasing those ghosts, replaying every exchange, every scramble, every failed adjustment. Let's not forget who we're talking about.
Did you all forget?
He is the most dangerous and destructive champion in the sport today.
There's that body shot, and still Alex Pereira reigns supreme.
This is the same Alex Pereira who held 2 titles in glory, knocked out Israel Adesanya in MMA and kickboxing, and became a 2-division UFC champ faster than anyone thought possible. He iced Jamal Hill. He stopped Yuri Prochazka with a head kick at UFC 303. He stacked knockouts so clean they look scripted. When Pereira fights, it feels like violence is inevitable. That's why UFC 313 hits so hard. Ankalaev didn't just beat him, he stripped away the aura. And for Pereira, this isn't just about getting the belt back. It's about
stripped away the aura. Stop the glazing, bro. Come on now. You see what I'm saying?
Proving that night was a fluke. Now, let's talk Ankalaev. He's not your typical Dagestani mauler. He's patient, almost conservative, more counter-striker than chain wrestler. That southpaw straight, sneaky fast, and fight-ending. His 9-fight unbeaten streak before taking the belt showed a guy who dismantles opponents, not overwhelms them. And at 205, that kind of composure is lethal. But make no mistake, Ankalaev's win at 313 worked because of pressure. He kept Pereira thinking about takedowns instead of knockouts, forced clinches, drained energy. It wasn't flashy, but it was smart. And he knows he has to repeat it. Here's where it gets interesting. Pereira's been grinding with Glover Teixeira, drilling takedown defense like his life depends on it. He knows what's coming. The clinches, the level changes, the grind, and the scary part. Pereira's the kind of fighter who learns fast. If he can keep this standing in the center, it's only a matter of time before that left hook or those leg kicks detonate again. So the question isn't just who's better, it's whether Pereira can adapt faster than Ankalaev can repeat. If he cracks the code, Ankalaev could be staring up at the lights. If Ankalaev drowns him again, we're not talking about bad night anymore. We're talking kryptonite. And mentally, both guys are in uncharted waters. Pereira has always been the predator. Now he's chasing the one man who beat him at light heavyweight. Ankalaev, meanwhile, is carrying the weight of being Russia's first UFC light heavyweight champion, unbeaten in 14 fights since that Paul Craig triangle in 2018. He knows one mistake erases everything. That's what makes this rematch so compelling. For Pereira, it's redemption. For Ankalaev, it's validation. And for the rest of us, it's the definitive answer to the question UFC 313 left hanging.
Facts.
Was that blueprint repeatable, or has Pereira already burned it? October 4th is where we find out, in the most violent way possible. UFC 320 really has everything. Yuri Prochazka versus Khalil Roundtree.
This card
pure chaos versus pure violence. Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sanhagen. The Machine against the almost champion. And then Pereira versus Ankalaev 2. Redemption versus validation. Part of me thinks Pereira is too dangerous to lose the same way twice. But the other part says Ankalaev already showed us the formula.
The glaze, bro. I got Pereira, though.